Good morning, everybody. We got a new project in the shop today, and it is a gas-powered power wheel build. Alright, so here's what I got going on. It's probably not what you guys are thinking. It's not an adult size power wheel build. This is my son's little power wheel. We bought this thing used. It's a Blue Thunder. It's supposed to be a monster truck. It's got Monster Jam stickers on it, although a lot of them are pretty dang faded out at this point. But, so I souped this thing up in the past with, a drill battery and some regulators and some things, trying to make it faster, and it did make it a lot faster. Problem is, it just broke things every time because, he would just get in there and hold it wide open, and I mean, it is just an on and off switch, but basically he'd get in there, hold it wide open, he'd melt the regulators, and then eventually when I got tired of replacing regulators and trying to figure all that out, we just went straight battery to motors, or battery with no regulator. The thing is super fast, but it just blew up the motors. So sick and tired of all that. So what I got here is I've got this, I think this is a Chinese quad. I think it was an electric one. I think it had an electric motor right in here. So we got this for parts. It's got a swing arm. It's got some steering stuff. We got wheels and tires, although we might swap that out. We'll see. But I'm going to somehow make this and this come together, and it's going to be tough because right here you can see this engine needs to go like this, and obviously it doesn't fit in there. So seat's going to have to go forward a little bit. We're going to have to, steering wheel's going away. We'll have to do a new steering wheel because this is just kind of dinky, power wheel stuff. We don't need to go crazy and overbuild this thing. This is the other thing we got here, 79cc Harbor Freight motor. I don't think it's ever ran. I got it with a different project, so hopefully, I'm sure we can bring this thing to life even if there is something wrong with it. That doesn't look like it's ever been gas on there. So, let's see with the oil. Is there even oil in it? Nope, just a tiny bit of oil in it, so that's probably just what it comes with. So, we got that going for us. This is a brand new motor, I'm pretty sure of it, even though it's been sitting around for who knows how long. But it turns over, so this is our power plant. It still has a regulator screw, so hopefully we're going to be using that to regulate the throttle. This is the first thing he's going to have where he really has a brake. So yeah, I don't know how much of this we're going to be able to use. We're going to have to cut most of this off and use the swing arm and then the front end. And then this is going to have, the angle of this is going to have to be changed dramatically. So I really don't have a plan because I just don't know how this is going to go together. But we're just going to tear into it. We're going to start building it, and we're going to see where this takes us. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is tear this thing apart. Apparently, it's helping me out to just ditching the tailgate. Alright, so here's what we got going so far. Now, I don't know how far this is going to poke up into here, but I think this tank is probably going to be one of the first things to be ditched and either replaced with a different tank or remounted up front here is probably going to be the only solution that we have, or like higher in the back. I don't know if this muffler is going to be an issue. It's literally directly over the engine, so I kind of think that this won't be an issue, other than it might become an issue because of where the exhaust is pointing. But I don't know how high this thing is going to sit on the chassis. You know, maybe it'll only poke up into there, but even if that's the case, so I guess this muffler is probably going away too. So that's what we got so far. You know, the whole floor might end up getting cut out in here. It'd be nice if we could keep it, but it depends on a lot of things. So I think the next thing to do is to get this thing up here and strip it down. I'm going to cut basically all of this off, get rid of that shock mount. We're going to have to remount the shock somewhere else. The engine's going to live right in there somewhere. And yeah, all this has to go. We might be able to keep this bar. This bar might help us with mounting the body to it, but I'm not sure. There's a lot to figure out here. So let's just start with that, and then we'll start trying to fit the body on there and see where we end up. This definitely, I can pretty much guarantee that this is going to have to be re-angled back, but I don't know at this point. We'll see. Alright, so here's where we're at. The way I see it, this needs to get mounted first. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on getting this, I'm basically getting this engine mount as far back on the swing arm as possible. And then I'm going to drill some holes once I get this all balanced up and everything. But then you can see right here it's hanging off the end. So I have this piece of plate that I cut off of the thing. We'll cut it to fit in there. We'll mount that, or we'll get that put into there. And then we can drill the holes and mount the front of the engine as well. So I guess that's what I need to do first. It looks like I just need to cut this thing to the right width. And then I can just put it in here and butt it up against this piece here. And then throw a weld on it. Same with this right here. I might throw a little bit of a weld on here, because this part is, there's no weld between this plate and here. So it should have something. But anyways, so I'm going to focus on getting the motor, the engine mounted here, and hopefully have the clutch lined up with this sprocket here. I have no idea if this ratio is going to be right. And then once we do this, we're going to be a little bit limited on what size sprocket we can go with for sure. Because you can only get so big before it's going to run into the engine. But hopefully it'll work out. Yeah, so I guess that's what I need to do. I need to get this as far over to this side as possible. And then that'll give us room for the brake rotor here, which we might be able to slide back into place or close into place. And then we're going to have to reposition the brake caliper, because that was right here. So once we get this mounted, then we can put the body on, and then we can figure out if we need to adjust the wheelbase a little bit or something. But I figure this is the first step in the progress, or the process, is just get that on there, and then we can fit the body and figure out where we're going from there. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday we got the bulk of the body cut out of our Power Wheels build. We got the engine actually mounted to the swing arm here, and we're continuing on. I was kind of mocking up this brake. I'm gonna have to make a bracket for the brake caliper now, and there's some other stuff, but I'm realizing, you know, I'm just cutting more and more of this body out. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna remove a big chunk of this floor, and that's gonna just help me get the body situated even better, and we can stop kind of messing around. So I think we're just gonna basically go straight across here and across here and across here. We're gonna get rid of this little hump right here. This is causing us problems, and that way we'll be able to get our body down where we really need it and stop messing around with that. And then we can continue on making this and get our front suspension. One of the things that I'm working with here is is wheelbase. So I'm trying to get the wheelbase of this quad was slightly more than the actual Power Wheel itself, and I'm trying to work within these wheel wells. I'm trying to keep the Power Wheel body looking pretty good. It's a pretty solid one. It's an older one. So I'm trying to keep the Power Wheel body kind of together as much as I can, but this floor has got to go, so we'll get rid of that. But I want it to look, you know, good afterwards. I like the fender flares, and I like the little running boards and all the little parts of it. So we're gonna go ahead and get some more cut out today, and then we're gonna start working on this, and hopefully maybe we'll get that front suspension tacked in and that steering column. Steering column might be the next thing. I don't know. But we'll get on it, and we'll see how far we can get today. Alright, so we're at a point, a good point. The body fits over everything. We have a steering stem in here to put a wheel on. This I think is ride height. Pretty sure this is ride height right here. So we're going to end up probably cutting these two that come off this way and building a platform that kind of comes up to the bottom of the body, maybe. Or maybe we'll just cut the floor out more if we need more leg room for my son. But there's kind of a lot of leg room in there already. And then this is the height of the wheel wells. So I'm not really 100% sure how this is going to come together. But it is. It's coming together. So I ended up extending this steering stem about 6 inches. And then we're going to have to extend this internal piece as well, 6 inches. But we'll do that later. That's not really a big deal. The next thing we need to work on is actually getting this front suspension on. And then once we have all that figured out, I want to get my son in here and have him sit in here and make sure everything's going to work. Because the seat is kind of a contention. But now that I've raised it up to more of a ride height and everything, I think the seat is not as much of a problem anymore. So we can move it back if we need to. But we moved everything forward. We moved the steering. because we have the engine in the rear and it's taking up a lot of space, I basically, you know, we moved the steering stem forward quite a bit into the body. So we cut, and we must have moved it, I don't know, about 3 inches. So that's 3 inches more of space towards the front. And we cut the dash out, so that's more room towards the front. So that'll help balance this thing out anyways. The further we get him forward in this, the less likely it is to go over backwards. So that's where we're going. I think the suspension, or I think the front end is next. So I'm gonna work on that. And hopefully we can have a roller today. Technically, we have a roller. It will roll, okay? But the swing arm doesn't have anything holding it up right now. So if I take the blocks out, it's just gonna collapse. But we have front suspension and steering. We're gonna have to trim this bumper possibly. Yeah. We might have to. No, we don't actually, because we don't have any suspension travel. So that won't be an issue. I am going to try and get this body as far forward as I can manage, and try to even out the wheelbase, but this is the best that we can do with what we got to work with and the space that we got. So I like it. I think it's turned out pretty good. Where are we going next with this? We got a lot to do. For such a small little machine, there is a ton to do. So let me tell you what we got left to do. So we have to lengthen this steering stem, or whatever you want to call it, and cut this flange off the top of it, and we're going to have to make a flange and get a steering wheel to put on this guy. So there's one thing. We need to actually mount this body, so I'm going to end up cutting some of these supports off and then turning it into a body mount somewhere in here to mount this part. And then we'll find some other parts to mount the body to. We have to figure out the brake, so we have to make a new brake, a new bracket for this brake caliper. And then obviously we have to have a brake pedal and a brake cable. Same with the throttle pedal, throttle cable. I want to put a little cage in this because I know this thing is going to get rolled over for sure. We're going to get different wheels, or not different wheels, but different tires. So there's definitely still a pretty dang good size list of things that need to be taken care of with this. This is just the start, but you know, we got a roller, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm going to figure out this shock mount next. Yeah, we're very limited on space for that. So this little guy here has got to fit in here somewhere. So we'll make room for that. Man, there's a lot to do, but we'll get through it one step at a time, and we'll keep on trucking here. Alright, I'm going to call it on this video right here. We still have quite a bit to do on this thing, but it is coming along. In the next episode, you will see it progress even further. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash that like button for me. Hit the subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to get notified of future videos coming out from DJ's Hot Rod and Fab. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.